Today is the Student NUS demonstration in London, where thousands of students will march to voice their concern over the raise of tuition fees. We go now to Thomas Race and Gina Ray for a special report on the event.
On Wednesday the 10th of November, students, lecturers and fellow demonstrators took to the streets of London to protest about proposed funding cuts to higher education. This controversial move, along with the news of a potential rise in annual fees to £9,000, would make the university education system out of financial reach for many. The march, which began on Horse Guards Road at approximately 12:30 a.m, was organised by the National Union of Students, NUS, and UCU, the University and College Union. Also there to show their support were two major national unions, Unite and Unison. Estimates before the march took place put attendance figures at around 2,000, but as the day approached, rumours of up to 25,000 protesters planning on coming were floated. In reality, on the day more than 50,000 people showed up to support the protest, but the large number was handled well by police and event organisers, and little trouble was caused. The demonstration, which followed a typical protest route past the Houses of Parliament, ended on Millbank Road, with a rally held by NUS President Alan Porter. The emotive speech he gave outlined the extreme disappointment and betrayal felt by students on the back of Lib Dem promises to reject a fee rise and education cuts before the coalition government was formed. Aaron Porter said,
"Well, I think this sends out a clear message to those in Westminster that they need to think twice about pursuing with these policies, but I don't see this as the end of a campaign, rather the beginning. We need to make sure that this momentum and this level of activism and excitement in the issue is taken out into local constituencies, and in places like Bath, where someone like Don Foster, who has so many students in his constituency, campaigned on a manifesto to abolish tuition fees, is seriously going to look students in the eye and tell them he's going to treble them. That is utterly ridiculous, and he should expect to lose his seat if he was to pursue with that policy."
However, as the rally began, some protesters branched off and started a fire outside Millbank Tower, the Conservative headquarters, which soon got out of hand. Demonstrators began graffitiing and vandalising the walls of the building, and with few police on hand to control the crowd, events spiralled out of control. Student protesters began banging on the bulletproof glass walls of the lobby entrance, and soon a large hole had cracked in the side. Within minutes, people were inside the building, and before long the whole lobby had been taken over by demonstrators, looting and generally causing destruction to the interior. Some rioters managed to get onto the roof of the building, and many objects were thrown from the height, including a fire extinguisher which narrowly missed the crowd. On the ground, protesters were armed with flares, hammers, even a water hose, and continued their violent rampage after riot police had arrived on the scene.
This is not the end, this is the beginning of the fight against the Tories and the Lib Dems and the government as a whole against cuts and the attack on poor and disadvantaged people in this country.
Although the demo had been planned for weeks, police failed to foresee the scope for such a riot, bearing in mind the size of the crowd.
Anyway, your policing here has failed today. The building has been totally stormed. The building has been trashed, and the people have spoken by occupying and destroying one of the enemy headquarters.
The riot police cordoned off the entrance once they had arrived, and 32 arrests were made. However, the violence continued into the evening, and a total of 14 people were injured, including 7 police officers. Response from NUS representatives clearly condemned all those involved in the violence.
For those who weren't able to get to the London March, demonstrators are also rallying today on our very own Bath Parade. Free soup is being given away to highlight the poverty that students will be thrown into with the increase in fees. The MP for Bath, Don Foster, is under particular scrutiny at the moment with his U-turn on student fees, having pledged to abolish them if the Lib Dems got into power. While the demonstration here is not on the same scale as in London, it is certain that feelings are equally strong. From mayhem in London to mayhem back here in Bath, CTV was at Theory last Friday night. The back-to-school theme last week got the students and the stationery out, and the smoky electronic dance floor got some school shoe-covered feet tapping. Unfortunately though, the attendance of this event was not particularly high, with only 200 tickets sold, and the Students' Union is under increasing pressure to compete with all that town has to offer on a Friday night.